All right, we got our 10 list of 10 here. Part 1, the preseason storylines that, Matthew, you are buying. And number 1, we start off with a bang here. Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels will live up to the hype and more, both delivering on big seasons. And we got to hear from Caleb Williams, who sat down with our very own Maria Taylor. Oof, not exactly that. We'll get there.
You know, those dreams and aspirations that I set for myself, because I always set really high aspirations, and that's another dream of mine is to become the greatest. You know, it allows me to keep going, allows me to reach those things, because I know that I can't reach certain things like that in 1 year, 2 years, or anything like that. So it gives me a push.
Lofty goals, Matthew, for Caleb Williams?
Sure.
And lofty expectations, but you're buying in that year 1 he can reach them.
I don't know that he can be the greatest, but look, there's a reason he's the number 1 overall draft pick. I will say that the preseason, there have been some, there's been some inconsistency there, but there's been enough kind of wow moments.
Absolutely.
Where you're just sort of like, okay, once we get into the season, look, he's gonna be mobile. We've talked about the weapons that he's been surrounded by, and just again, preseason, you're always dealing with small sample sizes, but there have been enough wow moments from Caleb Williams, and honestly, and Jayden Daniels, that makes you think that, you know what, fantasy-wise, both these guys are going to deliver on the hype.
Yep. Bears get a really easy schedule as well, which is nice. After they finished in the division last year, you can see, Matthew, you've got Jayden Daniels as QB 10, Caleb Williams as QB 13. Did you have any thought about putting Caleb above Jayden at some point, or do you think the rushing upside of Jayden just separates it?
I just think the rushing upside, I think it's two things. I think it's the rushing upside of Jayden Daniels. I also think that, honestly, the Bears are going to be better than the Commanders. I think the Bears have a really good defense. I think the Bears are less likely to be a negative game script where he has to suddenly start throwing a lot. I think they're going to be a more balanced offense. Again, I think you'll see with DeAndre Swift and Khalil Herbert, like Rashawn Johnson, they'll be able to run the ball effectively here. And, obviously as we get colder, Chicago's always tough to play. And so how does Caleb Williams, USC kid, how does he handle, playing in, the frozen tundra of Shoulder Field, as it were, over the court. So those are all the things that you sort of like nitpick a little bit there that I think from a fantasy perspective, Daniels will be a negative game script more, and just his rushing is just so ridiculously high, gives him such a high floor week in, week out.
And Matt Eberflus he's been pretty outspoken about that this summer. He said, listen, we know he can make the big play for us. We'd like to keep it dialed in. When we need the big play from him, then we'll unleash that. So obviously Jayden Daniels might be in more of a script, like you said, Matthew. Jay, how about this one? Keon Coleman.
But both guys are going too late in drafts. I'll just say that. And I know there's a lot of drafts that are still going on this week. A lot have already happened, but again.
Particularly, I think, because Jayden Daniels can be a league winner. Like,
yes.
I saw the stats that he put up en route to a Heisman video game type of player. I think Caleb can be awesome, but just with the lack of rushing compared to Daniels, probably doesn't have the same type of ceiling. Whereas, if Jayden Daniels finishes as QB3 in fantasy, is anyone that shocked?
I mean, you could legitimately get 80-yard rush performances from him week in and week out with a touchdown, and that totally changes everything.
He can be Justin Fields with passing.
Yes.
I mean, Justin Fields, would have those kind of games, would have 85 yards rushing, 120 yards rushing, but the passing would be inconsistent. I would argue that Jayden Daniels is a more polished passer.
Yep. 2 years ago, Justin Fields was QB6, and Jayden Daniels, that's well within the range of possibilities.
The next one, Keon Coleman and Brian Thomas Jr. are going to be full-time starters in week 1, Jay.
Yeah, I feel better about Brian Thomas Jr. there, because I just think I think he's a bit more polished and ready. And Keon Coleman is always concerned, Connor, with his type of profile, where didn't create a ton of separation in college, dependent on being the DeAndre Hopkins type who is going to win with contested catches, which makes me a little bit more nervous. I mean, all the reports about Brian Thomas Jr. out of preseason have been amazing. And you always get a little bit worried about the viral practice clips that made George Pickens a rookie sensation. Preseason, they didn't really live up to it, but I mean, the talent is amazing. I think the opportunity is there. He could be the number 1 wide receiver for Trevor Lawrence. That's well within the range of outcomes.
I mean, to put in perspective the athleticism, it's like him and Christian Watson are that athletic. Really, nobody else in the position in this league, Matthew. That's how different Brian Thomas Jr. is.
He is. Obviously, there's competition with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. They also signed Gabe Davis to a pretty big deal in this offseason. But Brian Thomas had an 81% route participation with Trevor Lawrence this preseason in terms of the snaps that the starters played. He's going to be an every down starter. It's going to be him and Gabe Davis on the outside. Kirk and Ingram in the middle, obviously, and so it's going to be a pass-first offense in Jacksonville. I agree with you. I think Thomas more polished, and even though there's a lot of target competition, probably less than there is for Keon Coleman, who's got to deal with. They're going to be more run-heavy this year. I mean, they're not going to be a run-heavy offense. They're going to be more run-heavy than they've been in the past. The Bills are under Joe Brady. They went more balanced last year, and then you're also dealing with Curtis Samuel and Shakur and Dalton Kincaid, as we've talked about here. But Keon Coleman, 100% route participation with the starters this year. When the Buffalo Bills starters were out there, Keon Coleman was out there for every single snap, ran every single route, and more importantly, as we've talked about many times on the show, 241 targets have been vacated from the Bills by the loss of Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis.
Yep, the Bills' offense is so strangely constructed where it's like everyone is a slot receiver. Like everyone just wants to play in the slot. Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid obviously is lining up wide. So like someone has to go outside, and it's MVS. Like Keon Coleman, there is a huge opportunity for him there. I just worry about the polish. And Josh Allen it's hard to say like Josh Allen's a tough quarterback to play with. I think he's the second best quarterback on the planet, but he's the type of guy where we saw there was a bit of a learning curve with Kincaid because he does so much in chaos out of structure. So it might be a bit tough for a rookie of Coleman's prototype, but there's a huge ceiling there.
Another preseason storyline, and this one Denny Carter approved. Taysom Hill is going to be a big part of the Saints offense this year, and in leagues where he has tight end eligibility, he is significantly undervalued, Matthew.
He had 8 games last year with 10 or more touches, averaged 14.5 fantasy points per game. He scored a rushing touchdown in the preseason already. Like they're using him in the backfield. Take away the tight end thing for a second. Just think about how the Saints are currently constructed. Okay, Kendre Miller is once again banged up. Jamal Williams showed nothing last year. Behind Alvin Kamara, they don't really have much in that running back depth field, and they don't have that much in that backfield in terms of running back depth. When they get in close, I think there's a chance that Taysom Hill is their goal line back this year. He is there, or at least splits some of the goal line work with Alvin Kamara. Then you think about the chance that he always has a chance to throw a touchdown pass here or there, that they do different things with him, they use him. Also, by the way, after Chris Olave, there's not really an established other wide receiver. Like, we like Rashid Shaheed. You've seen moments from A.T. Perry. You'll see Juwan Johnson. He's healthy, their actual tight end. But the fact of the matter is that Taysom Hill is a mismatched guy, and their new offense coordinator, Clint Kubiak, is going to take advantage of that, put him in motion, and do a lot of different things with Taysom Hill. And so, again, it's not always going to be pretty, and there's going to be some inconsistency here. But when you get into the number 2 tight ends, the touchdown-dependent tight ends, who's got a better chance of scoring a touchdown week in, week out than Taysom Hill when you get to that 10 through 20 range?
Yep. Connor, I think as well a low-key thing about the Saints, just because kind of everything is low-key about the Saints. Like no one thinks about the Saints this year. They're probably the most nondescript team in the league where they were uninspiring last year and there's a lot of roster continuity this year, so you figure they might be uninspiring again. Their offensive line could be an absolute disaster. Like it is a real mess. Trevor Penning, it just hasn't happened for him at right tackle. Derek Carr is going to be under siege again. And so I think they're just going to have to do weird creative stuff to survive, and Taysom Hill is the embodiment of weird creative stuff.
It's a great point, Jay. I mean, you could make a sound argument this is the worst offensive line in the league on paper right now. And if you don't believe that, it's hard to argue that they're not in the bottom 3 to 5 behind with a quarterback under center that gets very erratic under pressure. I know a lot of quarterbacks do, but he's not running away from a lot of people. So I agree with that point. Kind of increases the manufactured touches for Taysom Hill.
It also makes you feel good about, like, if you've drafted Alvin Kamara, if you're about to. Again, like, he's just going to be this PPR cheat. This PPR cheat code where it's just nothing but dump-offs because he's constantly under pressure.
All right, a running back that is not a PPR cheat code but could find more passing work. How about Ken Walker is going to be used as a bell cow back in Seattle and will have a much bigger role in the passing game than previous years. Jay, this is a team that not that long ago they took Zach Charbonnet in the second round, but this is still Kenneth Walker's backfield right now. Yeah,
I think the shine has come off Walker a little bit for whatever reason because he was so exciting in his rookie season when he was breaking 66-yard touchdown runs, and he was a bit of home run or bust. There were elements of that where it seemed like he was always trying to break the run, and then he's constantly dealing with these little nagging injuries, which again have taken the shine off. And Zach Charbonnet, who they took relatively high in the draft a couple years ago, but new offensive coordinator. I think this team and this offense is just going to be really good and a lot better than people expect. They're over under 7.5. I think this is a 9 or 10 win team. I think they're going to have better game script than they did last year, and I think this is going to be an explosive offense. And Ken Walker, like, he is the guy until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I think we're all excited about what Ryan Grubb's going to bring to this offense as well. Ken Walker has been a good pass catcher when he's gotten the opportunity. They just didn't use him that way in college that much. They haven't used him that much in the pros. But when he's gotten that opportunity, Connor, he's been able to turn those into big plays as well. I know one. Now that Seattle, there's been a regime change, but I will tell you from a very good source, and we talked about this his rookie year on this show, was that they in the preseason of his rookie year. Good source of mine from Seattle says, they think he can be LaDainian Tomlinson. Now, again, that's crazy high praise, obviously, but just to give you an idea of, what they believe his skill set could be in terms of a true three-down back, somebody that, is that special. And so it does seem like all the conversation we've heard and, people that I've talked to that have been at camp just keep telling me, and we've heard these beat reports as well, that, it's going to be Ken Walker's backfield. He's going to be And so for an offense that you think is going to be better than people think, Ken Walker is somebody when he's gotten big work, he has been very, very productive. 20 career games where he's gotten at least 15 touches, 16.6 fantasy points per game, averaging over 97 yards from scrimmage per game.
The only thing that ever gets in his way is health. Right?
Yeah.
And right now, things are looking really good for Kenneth Walker. So.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.